Hello friends, welcome to my channel. I'm Heidi. In today's episode, we're going to be working on 5 darling cute Christmas crafts with, of course, Dollar Tree supplies. All right, now let's get crafting. We're going to take one of these wood planks. I'm going to cut off about 2.5 inches, and then I'm going to use my craft knife and score 3 times on both sides. That's going to allow me to be able to snap it really easily. Any extra wood hanging over, I'm just going to take some dull old pair of scissors, snip off that extra, and then just quickly sand it so that there's not anything pokey on it. Now we're going to take a shish kebab stick. I love this project because I want you to see that it does not take a lot to create something beautiful. I'm basically using a little piece of wood and some shish kebab sticks. Wow, that was a hard one for me to get out. And then some paint. And all together, it's going to make the prettiest ornament. Now you can see that I've downsized those sticks to make it look like a Christmas tree. Painted them a sage green, painted the trunk brown. I added a little button to the top. I mean, really, this is the easiest ornament, and it's just so adorable. Added some ribbon on the back, some moss at the base of the tree, and then the last thing, I'm going to just add on this bow using some ticking stripe fabric. And that's pretty much it. You're ready to display. This craft, we're going to be taking a large pizza pan from the Dollar Tree, a metal welcome word sign from the Dollar Tree, some boxwood greenery from Hobby Lobby, and then some greenery from the Dollar Tree. And by the way, these red peonies are my favorite that they had come out this season. They are so beautiful. I've been using them very sparingly, and they are going to be used on this, and I always am so reluctant anytime I ever get them out because I just think, oh, I'm going to run out, and they're like my favorite. So here I am with my crocodile. You saw me punching some holes. I love the crocodile tool just because it goes through metal. And once I had those holes all in place where I needed them to, I took out the metal word and the pizza pan outside, and I spray painted them both to make it look nice and high end. And then once I was done with that, I'm going to take some of the garland. I took 2 long strands that would make that curve long enough, and then I zip tied them right to the pan. This is going to make sure that nothing falls off because friends, I don't trust hot glue on metal. It's just always going to come off. I really like things to look high end and not fall apart when you put them out, especially on your front door. So once I've got that on, I ended up gluing in the berries, some of the boxwood. It's really amazing how when you put on these boxwood stems with that garland greenery from the Dollar Tree, how it just really elevates the look of it. I really love combining different greeneries like that. I think it looks so beautiful. Now I'm taking a ribbon and I'm cutting the tails, and I'm just gluing those down into place, and then I'm going to add on my bow and glue all that down, fluff it out the way that you want it to look, and then I'm going to take some of those red peonies and I'm going to glue 2 of them down lower and then 1 up higher in around the bow, because we're going to add 1 more bow on top of this tan bow. So once you've got all of those glued into place, I'm going to move on, let all that dry for a second, and move on to the word welcome for the front of our sign or our wreath that we're making. And I'm just going to add in some E6000. That's going to really hold it down, and then that hot glue is going to just keep it in place while it continues to dry. Now I wanted to rough up the edges just a little bit because I did like that it had that metally shiny look coming through that gray spray paint. So now I'm going in with some E6000, and you don't have to do this part if glitter is not your thing, but I thought it looked like frost on the pan. I thought this made it look really cute, and it took it from it looking like a pizza pan to looking more like an intentional home decor piece. So I added on some E6000. I'm adding on lots of glitter just so it makes sure it catches all over, and I'm tapping it down to make sure it's just really worked in there. And then I'm going to shake it all off. And then once that's all drying, I went ahead and got 1 more bow that was a gingham bow to add right in the middle. This ornament is so whimsical and downright adorable. I'm going to use a small terracotta pot, a round wood ball that's flat on one side so you can see it sitting there nice and flat, some fabric, and then I'm going to pull out some buttons. I happen to have these star buttons on hand that I picked up from Joann's a couple years back, and I'm pretty sure they still have them. So I'm going to go ahead and pick out 3 of them, and then we're going to start with adhering the wood ball to the bottom of the terracotta pot. And I'm using a combo of E6000 that'll lock that wood and terracotta together, and hot glue. The hot glue will hold it in place while the E6000 is drying. Then I painted it white, and I'm going to come back in with a small scrap of fabric. I'm going to use this red and white ticking stripe fabric. I just love this fabric, and I'm kind of using it a lot this Christmas season just because I think it has that country charm that I adore. So you can see here I'm going around the neck part of my little snowman ornament, and I'm just wrapping around that fabric to create a darling little scarf. I folded it in half to add a little bit more texture to the bottom of the scarf, and then I'm just going to cut off any extra that I don't need that's hanging down too long. Once I've got the scarf on, now we're going to move on to the hat. I've got another piece of fabric, and you're going to see here that I'm actually like flipping it around a bunch of different ways, trying to decide which way I like the fabric to be closest to the face. I'm going to make a line across the forehead, and then I'm going to make a straighter line across the back because I don't want it to come too far down where it's going to make the hat pull backwards. You can see here that it's kind of pinched towards the top like this. I want the fabric to be as straight as we can towards the top, but I want it to also kind of go back a little bit at the forehead. So I'm now going to just lock in both sides with my hot glue, pull it up, and you can see at the top, if you've got this oval type shape at the top of your fabric, you're in good shape. Now we're going to take the scissors and we're going to just do little snips all over it, the very top of that fabric. It's going to look like a cute little spiky hairdo. And then I'm going to take some twine, tuck it down in there, and glue it into place because this is going to be how our ornament hangs up. Because once we tie the hat together, you won't really be able to get that in there. So now I'm going to take some red yarn, and I'm going to just do a double knot off to the side of the hat, pulling all of those little fibers together into the middle so it's got that pom-pom at the top of a winter hat. Make sure your string is nice and straight still. And then once you've got that knotted in place, you're going to want to cut off any extra of the yarn if it's too long, and you could embellish the hat a little bit if you want to take it that extra step, but I decided I love the hat because it was already so busy with the fabric. Now we're going to go ahead and add on those buttons down the snowman's tummy, and this would be such a cute project around the base or that rim of the terracotta pot towards the bottom. You could customize it and put names for each grandchild or family member. Now we're going to just simply add on a face and a little bitty nose, and at this point it is the cutest ornament I think I've ever crafted here on my channel.
For this craft, we're going to be using these long dowel sticks from the Dollar Tree, 2 stars and 2 wood plaques. Now you don't have to do 2 of these, but I loved how they looked where one was taller than the other, so that's why I made 2. To get started, we're going to cut the twine out, patch those holes that were originally in the plaque and the stars, and then we're going to drill a hole in the center of the plaque and a hole at the bottom of the star. And you're going to want to make sure that the point is facing down. You can see that I lifted it up so I didn't drill through my desk because I do use my drill in my craft room. Once you've got those all drilled, and if you don't have a drill bit that's big enough, I don't either, I just drill around a little bit in a circle until I get the size that I need for the dowel. I like to use a wood glue and a hot glue combined for that long-term, short-term hold while it's drying. I just don't trust hot glue by itself forever, and I always like to make sure I add in some wood glue. Once that's all dry, go ahead and paint your base and your sticks, or your dowels, whichever you want to call it. And keep in mind that you're going to want one dowel to be shorter than the other, so I did cut that down a little bit. I forgot to show that, but you're going to see at the end that one is taller than the other. Now you're going to decide what color you want your star to be painted. I'm going with red and white this year in my home, so I'm painting my star red. And then once everything was all painted and dried, I went ahead and took some sandpaper and just roughed up my star to give it that farmhouse distress look. I don't get too crazy with this part because I just like a little bit of distressing. I know it's not for everyone. Now for this next part, you're going to notice that the base has some text paper on it. Friends, I recorded it and for whatever reason it was out of focus. I'm so sorry, but how I did it was I took a piece of text paper from a book, I cut it down to size. I didn't make it perfectly shaped to that size, but I just cut like a nice piece of it, and then I cut a slit, shaked it and shimmied it around the little dowel, and then I just glued it all down. And once it was glued down in place, I took some sandpaper and sanded the edges until I got that shape that was perfectly the shape of the base, and then just glued it all into place. So here you're seeing me add on the moss on top of it because I just really love how this looks together with the text paper on it. You don't have to do the text paper or even the grass, but I just think it looks so cute all together. Very farmhouse, very chic. I don't know. And then now what I'm going to be doing is I'm taking these greenery twist Christmas tree. There's a name for them too. Friends, I'm so sorry. I'm the worst at names here on my channel. But I'm going to take it and give it a haircut because last year I realized when I was working with this and trying to make a tiny wreath that they were just too bushy. So I give it a little haircut, twist it into a wreath, add a cute bow. I'm going to link my bow video down below if you're interested, and then add some berries, and then they're ready to be displayed. We're going to be taking this sign that I picked up during the summertime, and you can use any size that you want, but I really thought this size was perfect. So at the third mark, we're going to measure it into thirds. I'm going to draw a line, and then I'm going to go down a line of the middle of that box we just drew. And then I'm going to go a third inside that third box. So you can see here I'm creating lines to be able to make an angle, because we're going to turn this into a barn. So I'm just meeting up my lines into the center point, and then I'm going to take a craft knife and I'm going to just score that board. And believe it or not, these break so perfectly right on the line if you score them about 2 or 3 times, and then just snap it. And anything extra that comes off, you're going to take your scissors and just trim it. And you're going to go all the way around those 4 corners that we just created, so it creates a barn roof. This is just such an easy and cute DIY, and you can see here that the angles look just like the top of a barn, and you're not going to touch the bottom part here. You're going to leave that alone. Now, I have heard from people that you can wet the back of these and they should be able to peel off, but I wanted to show you all that I'm not a fan of this. I was having the hardest time trying to peel this off, and I felt like it was super messy. So what I like to do is I like to either put a piece of foam core on the back side, or to make this look more high-end, you can put a piece of fabric on the back of it and glue that into place. And I just went with a really pretty cream and blue ticking stripe. I thought this would look really nice. Once that's all glued on the back, go ahead and flip it over and give it a coat of barn red. I went ahead and went with almost like a cherry red because I thought this would just be so bright and pretty for Christmas. Once I had the whole thing painted all the way over with one coat of paint, I went ahead and moved on creating the roof. Now the roof can be a little bit trickier, but really all you're doing is just following the cut lines of the roof. So first I'm going to cut it at an angle. I'm going to place it on there, and then I'm going to stick another one underneath it to be able to create that mitered corner that we want at the top. And you're just going to take your time on this part, making your cut lines with your pencil marks, and then once you've got those, you're going to trim off the sides. Now I laid them down and I also drew a little pencil line to know where to cut. Now you can see at this point I've got the top of my roof, and then I'm gonna come around to the side and I'm gonna also create the exact same steps. I'm gonna sneak a stick underneath there, draw my little pencil line once I've got it in place, and then cut off the extra that I don't want where I drew my line, so that way all of the corners are going to match up perfectly. Then once you've got everything all cut, you can go ahead and take your hot glue and glue everything down into place. Now this is the fun part about this. You could put this roof on however you want. This is just particularly how I did it, but there's so many fun things you can do with this roof, and you can go with a brown or a white. I decided to go ahead and paint mine white, and you'll see that in a second. But first we're going to go down to the middle of the board. I decided to do a line across it just like you would see in a barn. And now we're going to create the doors. So I have the 3 sticks that are just basically the length of a popsicle stick, and I cut off the rounded pieces, and then I put one down the middle. And then I'm creating again those little corner mark-offs where I know I need to be able to make things fit down inside the corners. And then I did one, and I took another, and I made this one so it would be cut in half so everything laid flat on my sign. I thought this would just be so high-end looking by taking the time to cut these down. And then I just kept playing with it. Popsicle sticks are so affordable, so that if you make a mistake, you can just try it again until you get it right. And then once I got one side done, I actually kind of got the groove of it, and I was going even faster on the second side. So this is definitely something that once you try it once, you'll learn it really easy and then be able to move forward really quickly. Once I had my door all on, I went ahead and took some of this garland, and I'm going to just sneak it out because unraveling this whole thing is a beast. It makes a big mess. And then I'm going to give it a haircut. I love to trim this down because it goes from looking kind of chintzy to looking high-end. So this is a garland from the Dollar Tree. It turns into just such a darling small wreath. And then I'm going to add that to the top of my barn in just a second. But here's where I'm going back in with the white paint, and I'm just going to paint it all white. And then I'm going to come in with my wreath, and I'm going to glue that up at the top to add that Christmas touch to it. I thought this was so cute for that farmhouse Christmas decor. And then this ornament is such a hot ticket. They bring it back yearly at the Dollar Tree because it's so stinking cute. So I'm going to take off the Merry Christmas sign at the bottom. I'm going to add some E6000 and some hot glue, and then just stick that right underneath the wreath. I thought this was so adorable. I don't know what it is about this little Christmas ornament sign that, I don't know, I just thought it was so cute. And then to add that farmhouse touch, I'm going to add a gingham ribbon, black and white, up at the top, glue it in place to cover those holes, and then you're ready to display it somewhere cute in your home for Christmas.
Isn't Christmas crafting so much fun? I love this time of year to celebrate the Savior's birth, the coming of his life, and just the Christmas season, being with family. I hope you felt inspired by this video today. Leave a comment down below to let me know which one you liked. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And until the next episode, bye friends.